away we go to close out Saturday night in Madison, Wisconsin. Event number 10 underway.
You want to win? Then don't put the bar down unless you've done 9 reps. Unbroken is the key for both the thrusters and the double unders. But at the same time, we didn't say you had to sprint. You just need to be consistent. So keep your composure. The only time you're going to be able to rest is when you have to step forward to the next bar.
As this close points race plays out here in Heat 4 of 4 in Event 10 to close out the third of 4 days of competition, you can note that Tia-Clair Toomey, your points leader, will be in those red shorts in the middle of the screen, and she leads the way after round number 1. Somebody that's yet to be on the podium, unlike Tia-Clair Toomey, is fellow countrywoman, also from Australia, Kari Webb.
And we're looking at the leaderboard. There's a 3-way points tie between her, Annie Thorisdottir, and Sarah Sigmundsdottir. Kari Webb is one of those athletes that has the strength and stamina to fare well in an event like this.
One lane over to the left side in yellow and red is Tia-Clair Toomey, who's in the points lead and has held that position for much of the weekend.
Well, she started off very strong, pulling well ahead of the field, got reeled back in by the end of the day and earlier this morning. She has moved back ahead into that 20-point buffer between her and Sarah Sigmundsdottir.
If the last 2 years was rough for Tia Toomey, second and second, it's been equally rough for Sarah Sigmundsdottir, third and third in the last 2 years.
It is not over by a long shot, because we know that 20 points can be swallowed up between a first and 7th place position on the leaderboard. Every woman in the field has the opportunity to put themselves in between them and the leader.
How much can the points race change in one event? Going into event number 9, Tennille Reed was the points leader. Into event number 10, she's in 5th.
She's in 5th, but not by much. She's only 2 points behind that 3-way points tie between Sigmundsdottir, Webb, and Thorisdottir.
It's a slight lead for Kari Webb in terms of those in the points race. Kristin Holte is a little bit outside of that points race. She's in the lead mix as well. Holte's name highlighted in blue as the leader getting to round number 4. That number that you see next to their name, that indicates how many rounds they've completed.
Yeah, we said before that 17.5 when they were using 65 pounds is an indication of how well you think they'll do. But it doesn't matter necessarily on paper. It matters what happens on the competition floor. When you add a little bit of weight, that helps some of those stronger athletes in the field, because it's going to slow down the sprinters out there in the front.
We've seen a relation in those that do well in 17.5 and those that do well in heavy 17.5. Holte, the second fastest among the women in the field in 17.5. She leads the way here in this heat. Katrin Davidsdottir, it's an unfamiliar position for her in the past couple of years. She finds herself in 6th in the point standings, but more importantly, 84 points behind Tia Toomey for the lead.
And it's not the standings that's really a unfamiliar territory, but like you said, it's the point spread. We still have a lot of workouts left to go this weekend. This is only the 3rd day. We have 1 more coming.
Davidsdottir holding the 3rd position in pink and black in lane number 8. Meanwhile, it's Kari Webb and Tia-Clair Toomey leading the way, both on the left split screen. Webb in yellow and pink, Toomey in yellow and red. Webb leading Toomey by about a rep. If it holds like this, Kari Webb would go from 20 points down to 14 points down.
And when you're talking about not trying to bite off more than you can chew too soon, when you want to claw yourself back up to the leaderboard, especially towards the later end of the weekend, the 1-place victories will add up to the end. Keep chipping away if you're Kari Webb. Kari Webb on the right side has missed twice in her set of 35, and that put Toomey just ahead of her. What we haven't said too much is that you have Katrin Davidsdottir and Sarah Sigmundsdottir to her left. Holte's in the mix just as well. Davidsdottir won the head-to-head battle when this event was released here in Madison, Wisconsin, over Sarah Sigmundsdottir. And what it was her consistency across the board from round 1 to round 10. Those missteps will add up at the end.
Webb and Toomey continuing to have a virtual tie as they move into the double unders in round number 7. Meanwhile, somebody that's falling behind in this one is Annie Thorisdottir, the 2011 and 2012 Games champion, currently sitting in 8th in the heat.
Thorisdottir done with a round of 6 and moving to 7, but she is behind the pace. That Curley sitting in 8th in this heat.
Only women on round number 8 are Webb and Toomey. Make that now 3 as Kristin Holte joins them. Katrin Davidsdottir there as well.
Webb doing a little bit of a pause at the top, maybe try to sneak an extra breath in when you can.
Toomey regains the lead by just a rep or 2 on the double unders as they go to the 8th set of 35. While Toomey has finished 2nd at the Games the past 2 years, you could argue that Kara Webb may be the best CrossFitter, especially in the open era, to never step on the podium. There's been a couple of years where she's been a huge threat to win the title, but something just always happens to come up. In 4 of the last 5 events here, she's had a 1st place finish or a 2nd place finish. She wants that podium spot, and she wants the top step of it as well. 2 minutes until the time to beat of 8 minutes, 26.29 seconds set by Kari Pearce. 1 round to go. Webb and Toomey are both under that pace.
Kara Webb moving up ahead of Tia-Clair Toomey in the center lane. Toomey just above her in the red shorts. Webb had some missteps on the double unders previously. She needs to make sure she doesn't let the moment make her push faster than a pace that she's comfortable with. When it's this close, it's about staying smooth and unbroken on the double unders.
7 minutes in, Kara Webb starts round number 10. It's a 6-second lead over the points leader and fellow Australian Tia-Clair Toomey. Webb slowing on the thrusters. Look at the rate of the reps of Tia-Clair Toomey on the left.
Toomey's looking strong here at the end. Look at the arms of Kara Webb trying to lock those reps out.
And here we go, the only 2 women in the field this weekend to have multiple event wins. 2 wins for Webb, 2 wins for Toomey. One of them is going to get their 3rd. Webb has about a 6-second lead over Tia-Clair Toomey, who slowed late on her final set of the thrusters. Can Kara Webb hang on without making the mistake? There's a break in the set of 35 double unders. When the judge's hand goes up, it'll be 5 reps remaining. Kara Webb has them. The judge's hand is down, and it's a 3rd event win of the weekend for Kara Webb. Tia-Clair Toomey won't get the win, but it's just as good for her as that 20-point lead will keep her in that number 1 spot by 14 points over Webb.
But what Webb has done is she's broken that points tie on the leaderboard between her, Thorisdottir, and Sigmundsdottir.
Kristin Holte is going to play a bit of a spoiler role. She came into this event 8th in the point standings, but going to create a gap between the top 5, separated by just 22 points. Sam Briggs will be doing the same. She entered this event in 9th. She'll be 4th in the heat. And that'll be good for 5th in the event, so keep in mind some times from prior heats are going to play a role as well. This is big for Katrin Davidsdottir to try to gain some ground to get back on the podium position battle.
Like I said, it's not necessarily about how many points you can make up as long as you're making up points. What she's going to have to do is start taking some chances going into the final day if she wants to get back into podium contention.
Davidsdottir finishing 5th in the heat, 8th in the event. Sarah Sigmundsdottir, she's trying to hold off Jamie Green and will do so. Sigmundsdottir in 6th. And 9 minutes, 8 seconds, good for a top 10 finish. Jamie Green will be our next finisher. She's ahead of Annie Thorisdottir, who just now started her 10th round of double unders. And there's more points that will go between Tia-Clair Toomey in the points lead, Annie Thorisdottir, and Tennille Reed. Thorisdottir closing it out. She'll be 8th place in the heat. More importantly, she'll be 13th place in the event.
We just had an international tidal wave just wash over the 2 Americans in this final heat.
Cassidy Lance McWhorter, she's going to add a few more points. in this points race because the last athlete left on the floor for the second consecutive event is Tennille Reed-Berline.
Well, if you look at the Open, this wasn't going to be her event. She has the 36th slowest time of the athletes in this field. So, you know, no surprise to see that she did everything she could possibly do out there for this event.
22nd in the event for Tennille Reed-Berline. First in the event for who might have the most momentum out of any woman in the competition right now, Carl Webb.